I'm Victoria, co-owner of Stuff Lubricants Incorporated.
And I'm Bill Buterney, husband and wife team and co-owner.
Stuff Lubricants is a manufacturer of environmentally responsible lubricants and penetrants with applications that span numerous industries, particularly of good use in sensitive environments, such as road construction, mining, marine, agriculture. We recycle used canola fryer oil and transform them into environmentally friendly, non-toxic, biodegradable lubricants. Some of our product offerings are shop stuff, a penetrating lubricating oil. Another is our tool and gun stuff, and it's a cleaner and protecting oil for firearms. Stuff is demonstrating leadership by breaking the trail and offering unique premium products that rival the traditional petroleum-based toxic compounds of mainstream lubricants in both performance and price. Well, since we utilize used canola fryer oil, we collect from some of the other smaller businesses locally that don't produce enough to make it viable for them to sell to larger collection businesses. They would have to pay fees to bring them to waste management. They also don't want large quantities of used fryer oil hanging around their establishments because of the nuisance bears that hang around and other wildlife. So we take it off their hands and repurpose it, and it helps them out, it helps us out. We are currently on the shelves of the home hardware in the Northeast region, and we're currently trying to work out some logistics for the other 1,100 stores in Ontario.
And we're also in talks with a company in southern Michigan. They wholesale large quantities of auto parts throughout the United States, and they're interested in our shop stuff penetrant. So we're really hoping that works out to be fruitful, and we're doing the best we can. We're getting our product out there and trying to spread it around. And the best part of this is that the people that try it like it, and when they talk about it and tell their friends. And 99% of our advertising so far has been word of mouth, and it's been working for us. So we're figuring we got a good product if people are liking it and buying it and telling their friends.
My name is Michaela Mansfield, and I work for the Huron-Superior Catholic District School Board. Currently, I am the curriculum coordinator for kindergarten to grade 6 for all of our schools. But previously, the past 5 years, I was teaching grade 7-8 French immersion at St. Francis. So using a flipped classroom involves high use of technology in the classroom. Our board uses Google Apps for education, and I was one of the pilot teachers to be able to use that with my students. Where students are writing using Google, and I'm able to see what we're sharing back and forth. So I'm able to see what they're doing live on Google and able to comment, and we're able to work together through the computer, whether it's their slideshows or they're writing essays or they're creating videos and they're sending them to me online as opposed to handing something in physically. So, and it also encompasses using the apps. Using their technology for reading, for research, and we always had that available in the classrooms. But last year was really exciting. We had someone from Nepal Skype into our classroom. In geography, we were talking about earthquakes and then global issues as kind of our overall theme. And he spoke to the class for over an hour through Skype. So something that we wouldn't have been able to do if it weren't for technology. I applied for a grant from the ministry in 2014, and with a team of teachers, I was the lead on the project. And we were looking at authentic assessment using technology, particularly in mathematics. So using iPads to document student learning and using apps to engage students in math. And we were given $63,000 just at our school to be able to carry out this project. So it ended up spanning to 2016, the project. And it was amazing. We used the Apple TVs. We each had 10 iPads in the classroom for daily use, where students were problem solving on iPads, sharing their learning up on the SMART board, projecting it with Apple TV, and really being able to talk about math. And at the same time, we were able to use our iPads to document that process, their thinking. So we could go back later and really hear their conversations and be able to appropriately and authentically assess the students, because we weren't just marking off a piece of a paper, but we were able to engage and document the communication part of the math learning. Before that all happened, a colleague and I had the idea for an app called I Can Progress. From before the TLIB project till now, we developed this app outside of our daily teaching jobs for student assessment. Technology has totally refined my teaching practice, and I've always learned that technology should be used not as a replacement of an activity, but to refine or enhance something that you're already doing.
I'm John Carnaroli, and I'm a co-founder to Innovative Teachers, Inc. My partner and I had initially developed an app called I Can Progress, and we've been working on it for the last couple of years. And the whole aim of this app is to really focus on enhancing teacher planning and assessment practices. I think I was preoccupied right out of Teachers College with the idea of how to make learning visible and sort of how to really harness those conversations that you have with students and find ways to use that information that you're documenting to help them to actually progress in their learning. And I remember teaching core French my first 2 years, and always having my iPad out and always taking footage of conversations that I have with students to try and assess their oral communication and their listening. And I thought to myself, it's going to be impossible to do this effectively and efficiently without some sort of a tool to help me keep track of what I'm doing and to help the students really be able to look back and think about their own thinking. And that's sort of where this app sort of came about. I was really fortunate to have a lot of help from the community in different capacities. Like firstly from a business side of things, having CDC to help us to get our business established initially, and then having SSMIC, the Innovation Center, to work with along the way. We've been really fortunate to receive funding from SSMIC, and that's sort of helped us with the initial prototyping of the app. We received a lot of help from the community in terms of parent involvement as well. I know many parents of students who are really excited about having a tool that allows them to monitor their children's progress along the way throughout the school year. And to just be able to have a better idea of where their children stand before the report card comes. So the big aim, I think, in helping educators and parents and students alike is allowing teachers to use this app in their planning, but also in allowing teachers to follow student learning along the way and have those dialogues with students, so that students to become more accountable for their own learning as well, and allows them to really think about their own learning styles and how they best approach problems. It's been really successful, I think, in its early stages. We initially had this idea for an app, and we were able to bring it to a local app developer who was able to sort of bring a prototype of it to life. Since then, we've had many schools in Ontario, not just locally, be able to trial this app and pilot it and give us feedback. We've had loads of positive feedback. And also loads of descriptive feedback that's sort of helped us to better shape the app to suit what students need and what teachers need and what parents need. So in the stages that we're at now, just starting to get the app out into schools and just starting to be able to put this app to market, I feel like we've seen a lot of successes so far, but there's so much more to do, and the app has so much more growing to do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the upcoming months and years with I Can Progress.
My name is Isabel Molina, and I am an associate professor of Biology at Algoma University. My research centers on understanding fundamental questions in lipid metabolism and applying it in many ways that are beneficial to our society. Currently, we are interested in understanding how plants synthesizes the skin that protect them against various stresses. This skin is made out of lipids, which are waxes and polymers, and constitute the more extensive biological surfaces on Earth. These skins are covering all plant parts, even seeds, and recently with some researchers at the Nobel Foundation in Oklahoma in the United States, we have identified a gene that can regulate the deposition of that cuticle in seed coats of a crop called Medicago truncatula that is a model plant for legume studies. And this gene can modify the cuticle in a way that it changes the dormancy of the seed. Dormancy is a property that many seeds have, like in this case, these legume crops, and allows plants to remain dormant until the appropriate conditions on Earth and on the land are given for them to germinate safely and develop healthy plants. In this case, sometimes farmers want to have seeds that germinate evenly and more readily, and that was the trait we were looking for. So we have found that this specific gene then modulates cuticle composition and modulates seed dormancy, and was recently published. Our discovery may help to improve seed quality for farmers and also aid in the rapid domestication of wild seeds into crops. Locally, I have many students in my lab that are Algoma biology students, and they perform research, that they are part of my research program, and include not only undergraduates. I also have grad students who are enrolled in other universities, and research associate. This summer, 2 of our undergraduate students went to the University of California in San Diego to perform field work and lab work with corn, and has been recently funded by an NSF grant. So the students go there fully funded by this grant. This research in particular is related to understanding how plants cope or develop cuticles on their leaves that help them cope with stresses, and answering questions related to cuticles and defenses against various stresses are important in an era of climate change.
My name is John Dides, and I'm the CEO of Tomica, the insectarium located at the Mill Market here in Sault Ste. Marie. Tomica is an insectarium or a little bug zoo, but there's really nothing like us in the world. We are the only ones in North America for sure that allow each of our visitors at various age groups to hold all of the bugs. And we believe that the learning experience happens from the engagement of holding them. We engage volunteers at so many levels here at Tomica, ranging from age 4 all the way to 64. We participate in all kinds of events that we don't necessarily require payment for or funding for. We try to engage the community, and we try to stay engaged with the community as best as we can. We go into classrooms, and as part of the Science Festival last year and the year before, we are going into senior centers, and this is new in the world of science. Typically, it's a segment of our community that are overlooked, and I wanted to change that. I wanted to bring something to them and have an opportunity for them to learn something new, even at their age. And it was an incredible success, and we had a wonderful time the first year. The senior centers that wanted to try it out told the other senior centers that didn't participate, and we almost had 100% engagement for all the facilities for seniors in Sault Ste. Marie last year. It's amazing to see how many people have become volunteers or have volunteered their time and efforts to see Tomica succeed or to even exist. The investors' developments have been amazing to support it, and even though we may not necessarily be making money, they realize the importance of the social engagement that's happened here within Tomica. The hundreds of volunteers that we have come through these doors, and to see them inspired by the opportunity to just give is remarkable. And it never leaves them. And they come back and say, you know, I remember my time within Tomica, and it's a memory, a wonderful memory for me. We would not exist without all of these people and their desire to do something socially and to engage the community and to make such an amazing team. We would not exist without them, that's for sure. We have a lot of plans. First and foremost, we're just putting in applications so that we can become a not-for-profit organization and tie in for funding that we're not eligible for at the moment. There is a potential that Science North will partner with Tomica once we secure the non-for-profit status, and that would be fantastic to tie in with an organization with that kind of credibility and experience would be great.
I'm Connor Flood, and I'm a computer science graduate from Algoma University, as well as a current graduate student at the University of Waterloo, completing my Master's in Mathematics in Computer Science. I've been fortunate enough to work on a variety of projects the past few years for tech companies, research, and side projects, both locally and non-locally. One of the projects I'm most proud of was an application I built that was able to generate proofs using mathematical induction. While this initially started as a side project, I was asked to demonstrate the application to company officials at Wolfram Alpha, the world's largest knowledge engine. Following this demonstration, I was then offered a position with Wolfram where I was able to re-implement the application as part of the Wolfram Alpha website, which receives millions of monthly views. The success and feedback from this project is far more than I ever could have imagined. This project then inspired me to continue on work in the area of educational mathematics. The majority of my time spent on my master's thesis goes towards the MathBrush project. MathBrush is an already existing mobile application which allows users to input with a finger or a stylus on touchscreen devices mathematical expressions. The application will then both recognize their expressions as well as allow the user to perform computer algebra type operations on those expressions, such as factoring, integrating, etc. In terms of helping the science and tech community in the Soo, one of my goals is to continue on building a strong reputation for Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie. I think one of the best ways to build this strong reputation is to continue on promoting innovation from current and former students of Algoma University and Sault College. As products of the schools in the city, their success and accomplishments reflect well on those programs. As a student of Waterloo, it's motivating to be in an already existing large tech community, surrounded by startups and large companies. Over the next few years, I would like to spend some time in California. I've had my eyes on Google for a while, but it would just be nice to be in the heart of the Silicon Valley. Following that, anything is possible. Startups are not out of the realm of possibility for me, and I could definitely see myself even coming back to Ontario or the Soo. I'd like to give a huge thanks to the Innovation Centre for this award. It's a tremendous honor, as well as a thank you to Adam de Bruin for nominating me, and my parents, brother, family, and friends for their continued support.
I'm Smelley. I work for the Invasive Species Centre. I'm a project manager for Asian Carp Canada, and we work with Fisheries and Oceans Canada to teach the public about Asian carp which are 4 species of invasive fish that each cause their own host of problems. They each eat different types of things and compete with native fish. And so they're not in the Great Lakes right now, and we would very much like to keep it that way. And that's what Asian Carp Canada hopes to achieve. So asiancarp.ca is a website that takes the high-level Asian carp information and puts it in a more public-friendly phrasing. And we want to teach the public about all of the different aspects of Asian carp management. So our big bulk thing this year has been our Confused with Carp campaign. It was a social media campaign, and it's also housed on our website to teach people the differences between Asian carp and the native species that they often report as Asian carp. We took all of the main biological features of the fish species that we were dealing with, and we wanted to make it as easy as possible to kind of ID the fish and identify which fish they were catching. We worked with a graphic designer after we came up with the concept that we wanted a very clear and concise comparison graphic for each of the species that get confused with Asian carp that highlight the main identification differences. We had a picture of the native and we had a picture of the invasive, and we put it on Twitter and Facebook to get people kind of talking about what they might have seen versus an Asian carp. We also put out a Facebook ad. It was a graphic that showed a fisherman not catching Asian carp, and it created a lot of conversations about what Asian carp are, where Asian carp are right now, and what people think are Asian carp. So it created a great opportunity for us to actually interact with the public a little bit more than we have in the past. We track our analytics very closely on all of our social media platforms and our website. We've actually had over 100,000 people reached via Facebook, Twitter, and all of those links were driven to our website. So Asian Carp Canada has a lot more social media campaigns that we want to run this year that teach the public about all of the different aspects of Asian carp as a threat, their threat to biodiversity and to water quality, as well as we want to teach them that they can actually help us prevent Asian carp from getting into the Great Lakes.
I'm Michelle Dolorem, and I'm an honors student at St. Mary's College, and I'm in the French immersion and AP English and Science classes, which I think are my favorite subjects here. And I just finished my silver level of the Duke of Edinburgh Award. It's an international award that combines a personal and a community involvement as well as an expedition. So for that, I do competitive swimming with the Sault Ste. Marie aquatic team. I like to do lots of canoeing and kayaking and hiking and camping and lots of outdoor activities. I also like reading, and I'm part of the book club and work at the public library. So the vegetable project started last year in the spring with the help of my science teacher, Miss O'Donnell. And the 11 biology class, we made 10 5x10 raised garden boxes. I was behind the planning of what plants need to go where, companion planting, making sure that plants are growing together and not against each other where they're fighting for the same nutrients. I helped the students in the planting and showing them how to transplant and how to plant from seeds and how much water to give them. Once the produce was ready for picking, we would bring it all to St. Vincent's Place or the soup kitchen, and then they'd use all that food to create dishes and add to what they already had in their stock at the food bank. 3 or 4 grocery bags worth of produce per week, I'd say, in the summertime. I volunteer in quite a few places. I like to be able to give back to the community. I have volunteered all summer with the school garden at the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library and at the Festival of Reading last year. I do lots of volunteer work with the Meet a Weed group as well, fundraising, and I'm on the leadership, so organizing lots of events like that. I definitely see myself in the science and technology field and would love to become a biologist. I really like the interaction between the environment and society, and I'd like to help better the environment in that aspect.